kind of a job that you can get. So really, I think one of the things that helped was building a community over here. So
Mm-hmm.
especially to like maybe get to tackle with like black professionals in tech. No, but I have studied to our Nigerian brothers and sisters. They're very. I mean, you say they're loud, but it's a good thing that they're loud because when you come here, you see people that look like you. It's really easy, to react to the Nigerians, for example. So that's the first community I really interacted with. That was, from
Yeah.
Africa.
Uh-huh.
And through that, like I was able to meet like other professionals, maybe in technology, who are open, willing to like mentor you and just help you like readjust to the skills of here. So I had to like start my career afresh, start as an entry level sales representative and then work my way up. So,
Mm-hmm.
but in that time, I did a lot of odd jobs. I did landscaping. So landscaping, I used to work on the farm. So, that was incredible skills. Landscaping to survive. And I worked in the supermarket. Yeah, so I did a lot of good jobs to just get by. Just before I could
Uh-huh.
get an opportunity into technology. And then also, if you remember, COVID happened just a year after I graduated. So like I graduated and then COVID started. So very
Yeah.
similar to what we're seeing now. There was a lot of layoffs. There was a lot of layoffs. A lot of people getting laid off from their jobs, especially in the technology
Uh-huh.
sector. At least in the beginning. And then, there was a tech boom, and then, that's where I think I was able to get into tech. And then again, now we're in a recession where a lot of people are being laid off. Even, again, Facebook, Google, like, I think about 300,000 people have been laid off in technology in the first 3 months of this year alone. So,
Uh,
yeah, it's been a journey of ups and downs. Yeah.
yeah. So I'm curious. Usually, abroad, if I could say that, most people mistake Ugandans for Nigerians, or vice versa. Has that happened to you, considering that you have a community that has Nigerians in them?
I mean, to be honest, like Nigerians are very particular. I don't think that everybody like
Yeah.
even in Uganda, people were speaking to me. I think was it which language? Which language is this? Tribe. Is it Museveni's tribe? What is it?
The
Yeah,
Kahina
yes, in Uganda, people used to
from
speak to me.
Ankole.
Yeah, yeah. Well, when I meet East Africans, they always think I'm from their country. So Ethiopians think I'm from their
Oh,
Kenyans, Rwandese. So it's really
yes.
very. I don't know. We have a look, so
It's
easy to
distinct indeed.
yeah.
Right. So we are talking technology, and now you say that growing up you were into technology. Were your parents equally into technology? Because now I want to know, how can we as young people maximize our time with our parents in form of mentorship?
I mean, I can say I have a very huge generation gap with my parents. My parents were like 80 years old, like 80 and over 35, both of them. I mean, I'm not even 30 yet. So there was a huge gap. Uh, what I can appreciate about them is like most parents, I find like they really appreciate education, and they would really sacrifice a lot to make sure that their kids go to school and at least go to school. Like you can, they will say no trip, no nothing for you, but school or school fees is something like a lot of parents like growing up they don't compromise on. Um, I can say like maybe my siblings were big source of mentorship. I can say also like actively myself. I often like look for people who like I want to look up to, and I do approach them and speak to them. So I just find like if you by yourself you're like self-driven and you're doing the right thing, I think some people notice, like people do notice and people do take note. For example, like your parents can send you to the shop, and then you come back, you bring the change, like really without them asking. So that's something that your parents will go and say maybe to your aunties and your uncles. Oh, my son, I send him to the shop. He comes back, he gives me change without me asking. So to you, like that's being nice, but at the same time, like your uncle or your auntie can hear that, and they can be like, okay, this young man seems to be nice. Let me, have a coffee with him and see maybe what he's interested in. So I just say, just trying to be a stand-up or a stand-up partner. I think you do meet a lot of people who appreciate that, who appreciate you having values, and it does come back. It doesn't come back like directly, but it comes back one way or another. Yeah. So I can say that, but like in terms of like mentors in technology, I can say I was the one who was curious, and I used to go like papers, for example, I used to like actively like look for those opportunities, like where I can like maybe network with other people in the space. And I even met like some people from Uganda. I think there's some young man like Solomon. I think they had an app called Woza. So I think it was for like washing clothes and stuff. But yeah, so I just used to actively like network, and when you see people with similar mindsets, I think I think one thing leads to another. So yeah, so I could say it's mostly between. Yeah.
So do you think our parents play a huge role in mentoring us or in nurturing us into who we eventually become?
I would say yes and no, but I'd say no. Yeah.
No. Okay. I
would say no. I think for a lot of parents, I mean, especially growing up in the African setting, a lot of parents just want to educate you to your first degree. And to them, educating you to your first degree is them doing their job as parents. I think for most people, after your first degree, you're told, hey, what are you still doing in the house? You need to give up.
Yeah.
Most boys, maybe, I don't know, but I feel like they can teach you other things, like maybe how to work hard, for example. They can teach you values like honesty and that. But in terms of like, I think your adults, right? Like we've been born in very different times, at least for my case. So all they can do is maybe enable you, like maybe introduce you to your friends in that space, or But I feel like once you do that first degree, like most of the parents, like you're out of their hands. That's their role, and to them, they've done their part. I don't know. I don't know if you think about that, but.
Yeah, sure. They're always pushing us to be our very best, I think, and not entirely, reminding us of who we ought to be, but telling us we can do what we can possibly do, whatever we put our minds to, they'll be on our side. So when you look at today's topic, Joe, leveraging technology and innovation to advance one's career, technology is not as old as it seems, because now it appears it's our day-to-day way of life. Most people will say that without technology, I'm unable to do A, B, C, D, and Z. But does technology really, really play a huge role in advancing our careers?
I mean, I'd speak to that by saying, like, yeah, technology actually is very old. We assume technology is, computers or all these other things, but technology is, I think, anything that makes our lives easier. I think going back, we can think about the wheel. People before were pushing things that were heavy on the ground, and then they discovered how to use wheels. So I think wheels made their life easier, and they made them like focus on other things. Like it made like maybe moving things from point A to point B much faster, and people had more time to do other things. So how I think with technology is the same thing. Like you learn it and you use it to save yourself time, and you can use that time to do other things that are more interesting to yourself. So, for example, like now there's this thing called ChatGPT. Yeah, it's been in the news for the past few weeks or past few months.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
you just ask it like, hey, write me an essay on this, and it does the essay for you. So that's an example of like technology making things a bit easier. Another example is like everything is on YouTube. For example,
Yes.
even if you want to learn how to run a podcast, or run Twitter Spaces, there's a YouTube video on how to do it. So, and I think that applies to most other things. Yeah, if you want to learn anything, you can literally learn anything for free, for almost free on the internet, or even meet someone who's doing it, like through the internet, right? So, I mean, through Twitter, you can easily like follow like okay, like anyone like maybe in the social media space, like we have all these influencers, Yeah, if you want to see
Yes.
them, you can follow Ant and Time, you can watch the COVID. So it's very, I feel like technology, it's made us way more connected,
Mm-hmm.
and it's so easy now to learn anything that you want. Um, if you want to, like, I think sometimes maybe as young people, the mistake we make is, we only use the internet maybe to like, listen to music or watch videos or, maybe watch the Kardashians. But in those
Mm-hmm.
sense, like, there's so many other things you can do that are on YouTube even. Like, if you want to learn how to code, or if you want to like learn to do a podcast, or if you want to even learn how to sew or knit clothes, you can see that on YouTube, for example. So just a thought, just food for thought about.
Absolutely. Um, so let me ask you. You say that we can do so much on the internet. For example, we can also improve on our careers. Yeah, of course, using the internet. But most times we're looking for entertainment. We're looking for easy things to do. We're following up on TikTok and the rest. And somebody would say that technology has done more harm than good. And I'll come to the issue of innovation, especially if we look back at what's happening in most of our countries, back in East Africa, Joe. But before that, technology, most people are taken up by, the internet. What's the good things, the small time good things, TikTok and everything else. And our parents, are saying that we are wasting more time on the internet than doing the good stuff. And yet you say we are supposed to leverage off that and, learn a thing or two here and there. How can a young person do that?
Yeah. So I mean, I'd say that on two sides. I think anything done in excess is, damaging. So I mean, everything needs to be done in moderation. I mean, even with social media, like the number of times that we just find ourselves scrolling and then 2 or 3 hours at once. I mean, it's
Mm-hmm.
common, it's entertaining, but at the same time, is it the best use of our time? So there's also like that aspect of self moderation. I mean, at kids
Mm-hmm.
it's easier because our parents can take away our food, but I think as adults, self moderation is a bit harder. But at the same time, like I think we normally think a bit too far instead of like closer to home. So an easier way to like leverage technology is, for example, ask yourself, what is the problem I'm facing right now, and how can I solve this problem using technology? Or how can I solve this problem using the resources available to me? So
Yes.
for example, like I need my house to get clean. So I need like Woza, they had an app and they think it was Kampala and you could just, ask someone to come clean your clothes and clean your house straight from your phone. So that's an example of looking at the problems that are around you and seeing how you can solve them with technology. And that's just how it starts. I mean, to be honest, like uh, it might have already been solved. The problem might have already been solved. But once you start going down the rabbit hole, you learn more complex things. And I think the more complex things get, the better chance you stand in, like pursuing a career in technology, for example. Because I mean, if you're doing something that a lot of people can't do, then you're much more valuable compared to if you're doing something that everyone can do. So, like that specialization aspect is maybe what I encourage people to go after. And for example, like software developers, like there is a huge demand for them, but it's mostly the demand for those ones who are like at a more medium to advanced stage in terms of skill set. But like if you want someone to build your website right now, I'm sure you can find 30 or 100 people who are willing to do it for you right now. But if
Yes.
you want somebody to build you like a mobile application, then people start looking to you. If you want someone to build like iPhone application on your iPhone, it gets fewer and fewer. So that's just an example of like specializing, or how like maybe you can specialize and give yourself an upper hand in technology. But you can start looking around you and looking at the problems around yourself, and seeing maybe what technology companies are bridging that gap. So, I'll give you a good example of, are you familiar with Zipline in Rwanda?
Yes, I've heard about it. Not explored it.
Yeah. So Zipline is like, they use drones to deliver like blood for transfusions and like things to like rural areas. So you put, for example, instead of imagine transporting like a blood transfusion to like a remote clinic, with our bad road network,
Yes,
it's something very facing, up country. So they just load that thing on the drone and they fire the drone up in the air, and in a few hours, in a few minutes, the drone arrives and it delivers like critical goods, and that way many lives are saved. And so it's one of the two companies I think is valued over $1 billion. And you can see, a drone is not like a very complicated type of technology, but I mean, just like, for example, maybe providing those services to remote hospitals or remote clinics, it makes it so much more valuable. So like, who would ever thought like bringing a drone and making it deliver like medical supplies? It solves a big gap in our healthcare, especially to rural areas. So that's just a way to think about how maybe technology can solve problems. So,
Yeah. Yes, indeed. And you mentioned very interesting developments in technology and, of course, innovation. But when you look at our countries back in East Africa, Joe, you realize that we are highly innovative, but our governments are not as supportive, and we do not have that much access to money to finance most of our innovations. And most of them, of course, need money for advancement, and as technology is always changing day in, day out. And so I wonder, what advice do you give the young people who are involved in technology and innovation, very, very, very passionate about it, but they lack resources and they lack support from their governments?
Yeah, so I'll speak to that topic because it's a topic that's very close to my heart. I mean, I have been in those shoes. It's definitely very frustrating. But what I can say is the ecosystem is much better than it was 5 or 6 years ago. And it's going to get better, but it's not yet there.
Yes.
And I'd say like the best way to maybe like focus maybe resources, for example, is leverage already what is already existing. So there's a lot of innovation hubs that have come up. I don't know how many young people have paid a visit to them. There's one in Kampala as well. I can't remember the name, but it's on top, like it's on like the fifth or the sixth floor of one of the buildings there. But I mean, I encourage like young people like to take advantage of like the universities. Like most of them have incubation center, innovation centers. Take advantage of conferences. You never know who you meet there. And then at the same time, I think sometimes we always say like, oh, we don't have this, we don't have that. But usually, if you start building something and you have something to show for the little that you have, then it makes it so much easier when somebody who has the resources to support can come by and say, okay, you've gotten yourself this far without this much help. And because of that, I'm going to help you get supported from free. But if you never start, if you say, oh, you have these issues, you have these challenges, then, you don't have something to show. And if you don't have something to show, it's very hard to add on to what you have. So, I mean, even the Bible says, like, to if you have, who much is given, much is expected.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, and like, if you have something to live with, it can be multiplied onto. So, I just encourage people that, first off, when you start, you'll not be paid in dollars, you'll be paid in experience, for example. So, yeah, you paid in experience. I mean, in the beginning. But as an employer, please don't look at somebody who pay them with experience. Please just pay them something small, And yeah, so that's the way I encourage people. Start something, do it with your own resources. For example, I can share with like about like maybe how I was doing things. I never used to go out much, so maybe the funds I would spend instead of going out, I would spend it maybe on my idea, and that just gives me a lot of fulfillment. So that is an example of like maybe use the few resources that you have to try something that you like, and then eventually, like you build a network, and from that network, like opportunities may come. Like I'm not saying they will come, but they may come. But definitely the ecosystem has gotten better than it was 5 years ago. But we still have a long way to go. And if you're waiting for our governments to support us, our governments, unfortunately, I mean, I don't want to speak too much, but I know I'm in Canada, but yeah, our governments have not been the most supportive. By the same technology agenda, but if people are waiting for them to be supportive in order for us to start, then I think we're the ones going to miss out. And maybe an effect that you've seen is there's been a lot of like startups that are run by foreigners, in East Africa specifically. So I think that's something that we've all seen across the ecosystem. And it's not a bad thing, but it's just an effect of like maybe locally, since we don't have the resources, somebody's going to come outside with the resources and solve the problems that we have with their own resources and make a profit out of it. So, so that just shows you that it's not that there's a lack of opportunity, but at the same time, the problems exist, and if you solve them, and if you're like far along enough, then I think now there's networks you can tap into to like, maybe take it to the next level. But you have to start somewhere.
Absolutely. So you actually hinted on something that very many young people might not be into. So you have your money and you'd rather use it for something you're working on than go out, celebrate, make time with friends and spend, come off as, you have the money to spend. And this is what most of the young people are living for lately. A question is, at what point, because that points to you as having some interesting values that and speaks to your character as a person. But if you could, take us through a little bit into what your values are as a person. Maybe a tech savvy person or a tech person who's interested, or techpreneur in the room can pick up a thing or two about you.
I mean, I would say I'm not an angel. I have used my money sometimes carelessly and gone out and
yeah.
I have an abundance of it, but there's a balance. So, and I'm not saying like spend your money on like only this or only that. Like I think it's healthy having a social, a social life, because at the same time in East Africa, like a lot of the networks that we make in business, they come from that social life. Like you meet somebody in a bar somewhere, and next Monday you have a meeting, you're closing a deal together. That's very common in creativity. I think for Kenya. It's very common. But what I'm saying is, like, for example, if maybe you can start with something very small, you can say maybe this, 100,000 shillings. Instead of buying a few beers this weekend, I'm going to, like, buy some eggs and maybe hatch them, or maybe have some chicken, or like maybe buy some broilers, So invest in your own projects, invest in your own like ideas, bring them to life. For me, that's a pastime. I enjoy like seeing things I have in mind like come to life. And it's just a hobby. Like it's just a hobby that at the end of the day is not positive. But there's a good balance of having a social life. A social life is important. I think like being good or knowing how to interact with people is a really use. But if it's coming at the sacrifice of your budget, for example, I don't think that's a very good thing. So you can say I'll spend this much for socializing, but for this other one, I'll maybe try a small project I have at home. I'll try maybe put Skuma Wiki over there, or I'll try to put some gadgets. It's something very small, but at the same time, you'd be surprised at how much fulfillment it provides. So many people. Like for example, I know we have aunties and uncles who are like, oh, we need to go to our up country. I want to show you the rice I've planted there, or I want to show you the goats that I've kept there. So
Yeah.
it's not something small, but like that goat will be three goats at the end of the year.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So just an idea, just like it doesn't have to be this ridiculous amount of things. It just be something very small that you put aside and you try. Okay, I'm gonna try doing this idea. Like if it fails, fine, it's failed. But at least have you learned something from that? Where did it work out? And then go to the next thing. I think that if you try like doing things to life like that, or bring your ideas to life, I don't know. There's a fulfillment that comes from that. Yeah.
Wow. Indeed, you've got to put your priorities in place. You cannot just, social life is important, but you've got to prioritize, and see how you can leverage on that. I want to recognize some of the people we have on online. We have Edwin Tabaros. Good to see you. We have Lydia. This is Lydia Namuli Lubega, we're glad you joined us. You joined us this afternoon. I see Nasasira Denise. I see you, Sarah Banenya. We hosted you the other time. We're glad you're joining us. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to ask Joe anything, please, this is the time. Just leave a question or comment for us and we shall read it. Or if you want to ask a question, please request that you can speak and then you can ask Joe and he will let us know. But Joe, in the meantime, as people react so far to what we have been talking about, two things come to mind in regard to technology and innovation, and particularly for the young people. They're interested in cryptocurrencies. Now, allow me to ask you that. Cryptocurrency is the thing for the young generation. Tell me, what do you think is the future of cryptocurrencies? And should it be taking the young generation's time?
So crypto, some of us invested, we subscribe premium tiers.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, but what I would say with crypto, I mean, look at like blockchain. I think sometimes, we always like log into YouTube or Instagram, and then you see this crypto millionaires, crypto billionaires, the nice commercials, but it's a very risky area, like investing in cryptocurrency. So I would say for anything that you're doing, like research as much as possible on it. I would say, for example, on the crypto side, I look at things like Ethereum. So Ethereum is one of those like cryptocurrencies that I think they built programs on top of it. So for example, there's smart contracts. I don't know if you've heard of smart contracts on blockchain.
I've heard about those, but I'm not interested. I fear crying premium tears.
No. Like so such applications of the blockchain, I would say make sense. So if you like look at cryptocurrency, look at where they are applicable. Because I think most of the time you look at Bitcoin is at $100,000 or $60,000. It should be a good time to buy. No, I think Bitcoin went to 60,000 and then it dropped again to like 10,000. So if someone goes with $50,000, that's $50,000. That's a lot. That's a lot of losses. So I would say
Mm-hmm.
maybe look at the long-term application of some of these things before you kind of implement. And another maybe good way is to like learn how to develop on the blockchain instead of like buying
Wow.
certificates, like learn how to build on the blockchain. There are a lot
Mm-hmm.
of companies that are built on the blockchain. For example, like there's an NFT movement. If you remember the
Yeah.
non-fungible token, you'd see like a picture going for so much money. But just also like learning the underlying technology is maybe a safer bet before like venturing into like cryptocurrencies and buying and selling in crypto goods. So I would say I'm more drawn to the applications of the blockchain rather than like the cryptocurrencies themselves because they're backed by something. They something that there's a reason why Ethereum should cost as much as it's valued. Or, Bitcoin should cost as much as it's valued. So I would say like maybe look at what it's applicable for, and before you know like venturing into putting your money. Yeah. And also another thing, like people say, oh, Elon Musk owns Bitcoin, but it's a very small portfolio of his wealth. So his mine is worth $200 billion and he has 1 billion in crypto. That's I think 0.5%. It's a very small percentage of his total wealth. So I know we've seen people put their life savings in crypto. So you know. So
Yeah.
there's a difference in terms of like just how much risk you can take. It's a very risky thing endeavor. So yeah, just, research what you're getting into and risk what you're willing to lose. I think that's the noted for this investment.
Very, very interesting. And another one, as we wait for people, people, if you have any questions or comment, please let us know, and we give you rights to speak. Smash 24, I see you had a question. Please, if you do, kindly allowed to. You're invited to speak. Let us know. But in the meantime, Joe, you did speak about chat. What is it called? Chat GPT.
Yeah.
The new AI. We are into the fourth industrial revolution already. I think people. We are gearing up for it, and we are worried about AI. We're worried about the future of our jobs. Talking about AI, because I think this is going to be the future. So, I mean, speaking to the young generation, how do we prepare ourselves for what is already starting to happen?
Yeah. So I mean, with AI with technology, I mean, definitely, I would say look at technology as your ally. Like technology makes life easier. It makes our life easier. For example, like BPO machines, they used to say, oh, it's going to replace like bank tellers and cashiers. But at the same time, it made banking so much more accessible to many people, compared to if we all had to go, wait to go to the bank between 9 and 4 p.m. So yeah, I think it's going to create more jobs than it's going to destroy. Maybe with careers in general, like for example, I took sales as a career because I think selling to a human being is something another human being will need to do. So even if I'm selling an AI product to another company, like they still need me as a human being to do that. So I would say learn how to work with AI. It's not AI which will take your job. It's someone who knows how to use